Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world. This is our part number 4 on day 8. So let us, I would like to read 2 SR 295 and also 297. It says, after the angel had measured 3 times 1,000 cubits. So I would like to focus that statement. The angel measured 3 times. But in 2SR 297, it says, the angel measured 4 times 1,000 cubits eastward. Then it says, why 4 times 1,000? Why not more or less? So, that statement must have an accurate significance. It is concerning the mighty river on Ezekiel chapter 47. From that tiny rivulet, it was measured 3 times, and then the river, it was measured 4 times. This vision of Ezekiel, we know that it is applied in the period of the judgment that pertains to the living. And I would like to make just a short summary, although we will explain it later. But to help everyone how God carried out the plan of redemption in the closing work of the gospel. So, first of all, the very first one by which God would save must be the first of the first fruits. First of the first fruits. So let us focus first to the first of the first fruits before we will focus our attention to the first fruits. And we will try to prove to you that this year 2021 and the year 2022 is the last remaining 2 years we will be in the kingdom era. Brothers and sisters, I would like to read this statement in 1 TG number 25 on page 4. It says, concerning Micah 4 verse 1, although Micah forespoke sad news for ancient Judah, he forespoke this joyful news for Judah of the latter days. Trying indeed must it have been for Judah to look forward to her own destruction. Conversely, though, it must have encouraged her to know that the time would come for her to return and to build the old waste places, to raise up the foundations of many generations. Isaiah 58 verse 12. And still more joyful should she now be to learn that the time for her returning to God and to the homeland has actually come. I would like to focus to that last sentence because the previous one is applied in the days of Jehovah. That God gave to them an encouraging message that someday they will return to the land of promise. But the last sentence is plainly telling that the year by which our returning to God and to the homeland has actually come. And we will prove to you that this year 2021 is the year that we need to return to God completely. And then, in 2022, we will return to the homeland. These last 2 years, the last 2 remaining years, is very important. I remember the statement in Answerer, number 2, page 84 and page 85. It says here, Answerer, number 2, page 84 and page 85. Satan's constant target, the people's repeated stumbling block. That the great controversy between Christ and Satan is over this crowning hope. The kingdom is seen from the Lord's repeated instructions in the prophecies, in the types and in the parables, from Satan's constant effort to keep the human race out of it, and last, from human beings repeatedly being defeated in their warfare to become heirs of it. Working determinedly from the beginning to plunge all humanity into hell, Satan conceived his major strategy of misleading them concerning the kingdom. He succeeded with most of the Jews because they wanted the kingdom set up before its appointed time or not at all. And he is succeeding with many of the Laodiceans today because now, when the time appointed actually has come, they want to have it later or not at all. What a paradox. What an irony. Indeed, as history repeats itself, so does fully. The appointed time actually has come. Answerer number 2, page 84. And page 85. And brothers and sisters, I remember the statement in 1TG, number Let's read the statement. The voice of inspiration. It says, brethren, that there is an appointed time set by God that God's people will return to the homeland. And the absolute question is that, it says here in 2TG 31 page 3, shall this returning be unexpected? No, it is not. Because God will send antitypical Elijah the Tishbite first to inform God's people. The same with the statement in answerer number 2 on page, let's read. It says, brothers and sisters, answerer number 2 in page 6. It says, not purposing, however, to leave them there forever. The Lord did not let their living continue as pleasant as at the first, lest they refuse to take heed to Moses when he should come with the word that the time had arrived for them to go back home. The time had arrived for them to go back home. But there is also an example in the past, and that is in the second Exodus, that when God's people began to return, majority of the people still remained in Babylonian Empire. Why? Because they were satisfied, brothers and sisters, according to the historical event, that majority of the Israelites remain in Babylon when God's people began to return. I would like to read that reading, thing that is in timely greetings, in 1TG. And the reason is that it says in 1TG number 10, page 20. Before Haggai and Zechariah were called to the prophetic office, many of the Jews returned from Babylon to Jerusalem, although the majority remain in Babylon. Majority remain in Babylon. So because they were satisfied with their living. Now, I do not know if you will be happy with this message, to inform everyone that our returning to the homeland has actually come. And only those who faithfully return to God will be able to return to the homeland. Here in 1TG number 33, page 3, it says, this afternoon, we are to study Isaiah chapters 31 and 32. In these chapters, we shall see the cause of Zion's captivity by the Gentiles, their time limit, and antitypical Israel's deliverance. Antitypical Israel's deliverance. I would like to read 1TG 23, page 8. It says, a great day is coming for the righteous, a dreadful one for the wicked. A great day is coming for the righteous, a dreadful one for the wicked. We therefore, as children of Zion, are encouraged to sing and shout for joy because we have finally come to the time of God's great deliverance. 1TG 23, page 8. Now, I would like to present to you the evidences that this year, 2021, is the very time that God is calling us. I remember in 1TG 37, page 10, it says, their divine calling to awake, however, reveals that though the time of deliverance has come, yet they are in deep spiritual sleep, ignorant of these good tidings. 1TG 37, page 10. Their divine calling to awake, however, reveals that though the time of deliverance has come, yet they are in deep spiritual sleep, ignorant of these good tidings. I would like to read 1TG 37, page 18. It says, awake, awake, my friend, to the fact that our captivity, 1TG number 37, on page 18. Awake, awake, my friend, to the fact that our captivity, our sorrow, and our mourning are about over. We are never again to go through them. He who divides the sea can indeed make us free. In 1TG 38, page 22, 1TG 38, page 22, it says, if not awakened now, they may sleep forever. 1TG 38, page 22. If not awakened now, they may sleep forever. So, I would like to read again that admonition in Answerer, number 5. It says, Answerer number 5, page 29. And now the only safe and sane procedure is to read closely every page of the solemn message contained in the Shepherd's Rod publications. Let not a line escape your attention. Study every word carefully and prayerfully. Be earnest and diligent in your perusal of truth, and prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Now, I would like to read 2SR 275. It says, the 430 years of Ezekiel should terminate in 1929 or 1930. But the perfect fulfillment of the prophetic period of Abraham in its antitype is yet in the future, going out of Egypt. And we will prove to you that that predicted event, going out of Egypt, will be fulfilled this year, 2021, going out of Egypt spiritually. And in 2022, God will take us out from Egypt physically. Remember, the shepherd's rod plainly told us in 1 TG number 7, page 10 and 11. 1 TG number 7, page 10 and 11, it says, mark you, every adult that left Egypt except Caleb and Joshua. Although we know that historically, there are 4 associates of Moses that entered to the promised land alive. Do you have that record? I think that in Alonzo Jones. That is Joshua, Caleb, and Itamar. There are 4. And I do fully believe that among the associates of B.T. Hotep, some of them were still alive today. Because type and antitype should exactly fit and perfectly match. That there must be at least 4 who will be among the 144,000 and who will enter the promised land alive, no longer to taste death. Now I'd like to read again the statement here in 1 TG 7, page 10 and 11. So thank you very much. It says, Alonzo Jones, General Canvas Daily Bulletin. 4. Didn't you know that there were 4? There were Caleb and Joshua and the 2 priests, the sons of Aaron and Eleazar. Eleazar and Itamar. So, the 4 ones is Caleb, Joshua, Eleazar, and Itamar. these four entered the promised land alive. So let's read again the statement. Mark you, every adult that left Egypt, except Caleb and Joshua, had to be buried before the youth could cross the Jordan. Why? Because though God did take them with ease out of Egypt, He could not get Egypt out of them. It says, God take them out of Egypt easily, physically, but God could not get out of Egypt in their lives. They bring Egypt in the wilderness. Now, I would like to read here in 1 SR 107. It says, thus Israel, the 144,000 became slaves under Egyptian bondage. Do you believe this statement? 1 SR 107. Thus Israel, the 144,000 became slaves under Egyptian bondage, the sins in the world. One SR 107. But I would like to introduce to all the brethren, the same as in the days of Moses. Moses told the Israelites, it's time to go home. Answerer number 2, page 6. It says, not purposing, however, to leave them there forever, the Lord did not let their living continue as pleasant as at the first, lest they refuse to take heed to Moses. When he should come with the word, when Moses should come with the word, that the time had arrived for them to go back home. The same with the statement in 1 TG, number 25, page 4. That our returning to God and to the homeland has actually come. Here in 1 Azar, page 64, it says, this experience of the Israelites in departing from Egypt was written for the instruction of those who should live in the last days. Before the overflowing scourge shall come upon the dwellers of the earth, the Lord calls upon all who are Israelites indeed to prepare for that event. We need to prepare for that event. How could you prepare? Unless you know. In 2SR 170, it says, the 144,000 are called Israel because their experience is a duplication of that ancient Israel going out of Egypt to possess the promised land. Now, I would like to read again the statement in 2SR 234. It says, why only 2 kinds of cereals brought to view? Why not 5? The two serials are sufficient to illustrate the thought and to clear the lesson. But the chief reason for only two is to draw attention to the first and last calls, because reference is made of but two Israels, namely Israel after the flesh, the descendants of Abraham, and Israel after the Spirit, the 144,000. But the object of the lesson is for the latter, who are hard at the 11th hour, for the truth of the parable has never been understood by any other company. So let us focus our attention to the first call and the last call. Who are they, the first call? They are ancient Israel, who went out of Egypt. And to SR 226, it says, therefore the householders early hour call for laborers in his vineyard applies to the call of Israel out of Egypt. That is the first call. To SR page 226. It says, therefore the householders early hour call for laborers in his vineyard applies to the call of Israel out of Egypt. To SR page 226. And in 1 SR page 101, it says, it has been made clear that Israel after the flesh is a photograph of Israel by the promise. In the Exodus movement, all the tribes went out of Egypt. If this is a photograph of Israel by the promise, then all the 12 tribes must come out now as well. 12 tribes must escape the ruin of Ezekiel 9, death of the firstborn, and Isaiah 63, the Red Sea. The number of them is said to be 12,000 from each tribe, making a total of 144,000. I would like to read to us our page 169. It says, again we note, to SR 169. Again we note at the time of the Passover in Egypt, the blood on the doorpost was a type of the marking or sealing. In that night, wherever the blood appeared on the doorpost, the firstborn, whether male or female, perish not. Just so now, those who receive the seal have applied the blood on the doorpost, forehead, and as the firstborn of both classes, those who died and those who did not, were a type of the present priesthood ministry. Evidently, the type points forward to a ministry in the antitype, made up of both sexes. The firstborn who died represent the class that shall fall under the slaughter weapons of the pied men, and the firstborn who escaped from death represent the class that shall receive the mark of the man with the writer's inkhorn and pass from death to life. Thus, the firstborn who live and pass through the Red Sea are a type of the 144,000. So it points out to the antitypical Passover. Now, brothers and sisters, sometimes I'm thinking, in what way that I could be able to explain to you the abundance of the present truths that have been bestowed by God unto us. I would like to read this reading on track number 3, 1934 edition. On page 64, it says, numerical illustration of ingathering. Numerical illustration of ingathering. Now, in that numerical illustration, it was illustrated by the 40 days. So let us read again. The statement in track number 3, third edition. It says, on page 6, it was during the 40 days of Christ's personal presence with His disciples, from His resurrection to His ascension, that the first fruits, the 120, were gathered in. His presence among them has a deep meaning, and it should be understood by every disciple of Christ. If these 40 days have no other significance, they certainly bear the thought of His personal care over the ingathering of the fruit. But shall we say this vigilance was true only during His short stay with His laborers in that particular time? Such thought would not entertain the truth of His being the only Savior from everlasting to everlasting. Jesus Christ says, Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Matthew 28, verse 20. Then it says, is He not the same vigilant Savior of the Old Testament as well as the New? Indeed, Jesus Christ is the vigilant Savior in both Testaments, Old and New Testament. Then it says, moreover, His personal care in gathering His people in those 40 days, which we see to be a type of His supervision of the ingathering of the fruits in every generation, should therefore reveal that He is the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world and the Good Shepherd in all ages. Now, the statement is very plain that the 40 days of Jesus Christ, His stay on this earth after His resurrection, should serve as a type of His supervision of the ingathering of the fruits in every generation. So, that is the 40 typical days. Now, let us go back again to track number 3 on page 86. The 40 days in Acts chapter 1, verse 3 and 9, from the resurrection to the ascension, are consequently typical of the period from 1844 to the fulfillment of the marking and slaying as recorded in Ezekiel 9 and Revelation 7, verse 3 to 8, Revelation 14, verse 1 to 5, respectively, and in Testimonies to Ministers, page 445, Testimonies, volume 3, page 266, also Early Writings, page 270 to 273. The 40 days from Christ's resurrection to His ascension, it says, are consequently typical of the period from 1844. Not only from 1844, but even to the fulfillment of the marking. And not only the fulfillment of the marking, as well as the slaying. That paragraph, nobody study. because it seems it is a mystery. How to decipher that 40 typical days? From Christ's resurrection to His ascension? Remember, the types is categorized by the shepherd's rod as the great searchlight. It says in 267 in 2SR, a great searchlight by the power of the Spirit shining through the types is the only medium that can remove the obstruction and clear the way to an understanding of this and many other mysteries that are considered incomprehensible and that baffle the human mind. 2SR page 267. So, the type is called by the shepherd's rod as the great searchlight. The only medium that can clear the confusion. And one of the strongest weapon employed by God to defeat the enemy of souls. In 1SR Pocket Edition, page 73, it says, so completely disarming the enemy of souls, the great designer of these typological truths leaves the reader free to make his own choice as to whether he will continue in the darkness or come out into the light of the Lord, no longer to wonder what church to join or what is truth and what is error. 1SR Pocket Edition, page 73. Now, let us now look at the precious message, the 40 typical days. Serve as a type in every generation concerning the gathering of God's people. I would like to focus our attention to the gathering that took place in 1844. It says here in track number 5, page 108, it says, thus the doctrine of the investigative judgment, along with the doctrine of ingathering and numbering the 144,000, comprises the present truth committed to the Seventh-day Adventist denomination in 1844. And these two great truths up to the additional message of today, early writings, page 277, the Seventh-day Adventist denomination was to proclaim before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. What doctrine? Investigative judgment along with the doctrine of ingathering. But how God revealed the ingathering? 40 typical days. By 40 typical days, I would like to read track number 3. It says, page 85. Track number 3, page 85. Wonderful indeed Wonderful indeed is the way in which God has worked out the plan of salvation and revealed it step by step as necessary. You see how God worked out the plan of salvation and revealed it step by step as necessary? When in 1844, the investigative judgment of the dead and the ingathering of the first fruits of the living began, He did not leave His people in darkness concerning these events. The very first vision which Sister White received in 1844 was of the 144,000 first fruits, the servants of our God, who shall never taste death. See early writings, pages 13 to 15. When does the ingathering commence? In 1844. How does it is revealed? 40. By that symbolic number 40. Now, we will show to you, brothers and sisters, I think we have that diagram. Let us use this diagram 174. This one, 102. The 40 typical days from Bible to Gregorian. Now, ponder deeply, brothers and sisters, and think it thoroughly. Jesus Christ was resurrected April 18. And Jesus Christ entered to the... Oh, that is 2017. I'm looking to 1844. The one, October 22, 1844. I did not notice that. I would like to make a diagram. I would like to make a diagram. And just copy this diagram. April 31 AD to May 31 AD. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Pattern number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Copy it. Pattern number 6. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So here, April 18, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Then, here, 1, 2. You have been able to produce? Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30. So here, Thursday, that is the ascension of Jesus Christ. Then, 13 plus 27 equals 40. So that is 13 plus 27 equals 40. So, that is the type according to the shepherd's rod. So, from April 18, Christ's resurrection to His ascension, May 27, 31 AD, there are 40 literal days. And that 40 literal days are typical. And in the type, brothers and sisters, without the Spirit of Christ, you cannot decipher that 40 typical days. So, in that illustration, brothers and sisters, the given number are 3 in April 31 AD. The given number are only 3. 18. What is 18? April 18, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The resurrection of Jesus Christ. Second number, 13. The remaining days in April from the time when Jesus Christ was resurrected. Remaining days. And then the last one is 27. The ascension of Jesus Christ. So, through the knowledge by the Spirit of Christ, we found out, brothers and sisters, that these 3 numbers is the given number that we could find out the 40 typical days. But it is even more pointing to number 18 and number 27. Why? Because it says, from the resurrection to ascension. When does Jesus Christ was resurrected? April 18. When Jesus Christ ascended to heaven? May 27. And would you think it is a mere happenstance, brethren, that April 18, and then Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place, October 22, then you will add 18 plus 22 equals 40. It cannot be mistaken, brothers and sisters. That is the mystery. If Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place, October 21, the 40 typical days would be spoiled. But it will stand as it is. Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place, October 22. So the statement says, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, from Christ's resurrection to His ascension, that 40 literal days are typical, first, of the period in 1844. But not only the period in 1844, the statement, also with the marking and also with the slaying. This is Gregorian calendar, October 22. Therefore, the mystery is that from Bible to Gregorian. With unmistakable evidence. Because happens only once in a lifetime. That October 22 in Gregorian calendar, in Bible, that is October 11 or either October 10. It will happen only once in a lifetime. There are many October 22. Every year there is an October 22. But not all October 22 is Day of Atonement in Bible calendar. Or not all October 22 is October 10 in Bible calendar. Now, I would like to read that statement again on the great controversy. Great Controversy, page 300, page 400. Page 400. It says, the 10th day of the 7th month, the great day of atonement, the time of the cleansing of the sanctuary, which in the year 1844 fell upon the 22nd of October. I would like to read again, the Great Controversy, page 400. The 10th day of the 7th month, the great day of atonement, the time of the cleansing of the sanctuary, which in the year 1844 fell upon the 22nd of October in Gregorian calendar. But not all October 22 is October 10 in Bible calendar. And that occurrence happens only once in a lifetime. Let me see. When it will be repeated again. By which such October 10. Now let us try to add 1844 plus 1442 at 3286. October 22, 3286. Time and did not come. October 22, 3286. You see, brothers and sisters, from 1844, it will repeat again in 3286 AD or from 1844, it will take 1,442 years to repeat again. So it happens only once in a lifetime. That October 22 in Gregorian calendar, in Bible calendar, that is October 10 and October 11. It will never happen again. So, the 40 typical days is infallible proof. Infallible. Can never be mistaken. Because the 40 typical days, in Acts chapter 1, verse 3, the only verse that you can read the statement, infallible fruit. Therefore, the infallible fruit is attached to the 40 typical days. Now, I need to repeat again. The only way that you could ascertain clearly the Day of Atonement is through the weekly cycle. Because the weekly cycle had never been changed. The weekly cycle never been changed. It was fully protected and guarded by God, right? Track number 10, page 35. Track number 10, page 37. With unbroken line. And the biblical rule of reckoning, 30 days in each month. Only 360 days every year. So we can easily understand that from one Day of Atonement to another, there must be exactly 360 days. How do we know that March 27, 2021, that is Day of Atonement? Simply, very simple. By counting the number of days. Now let us look at the timeanddeath.com. October 21, 1844. Then count 179 years. You see, brothers and sisters, that would be March 27, 2021. So we can easily understand that March 27, 2021 is the 179 atonement. Do you believe, brothers and sisters, that in the holy place, there must be only 179 atonements? Now, look at brothers and sisters. March 27. There are only two number. Why is it that the partner of October 22 is 18? Because it points out to the commencement. But how about the last and the final Day of Atonement in the holy place? When would that be? March 27. What is the partner of March 27 to make it 40? 13. You see? 13 plus 27 equals 40. That is very plain, brothers and sisters. The number 27 itself, when Jesus Christ ascended to heaven, May 27, points out to the last and final Day of Atonement in the holy place. March 27, Gregorian calendar. And it will never be repeated again, the same. I think it will take also 1,442 years. Let us see. 2021 plus 3463. Let us look at intimeanddeath.com. Gregorian calendar. March 27. 3463. Still, it is not, brothers and sisters. So, it must be 5837. 7858. 7858. You see? From 2021, it will happen again in 7858, meaning 6,000 years will elapse from 2021. That is infallible, brothers and sisters. God gave unto us infallible proof. What is the infallible proof? Acts 1 verse 3. What is Acts 1 verse 3? The only verse that you can read the statement, infallible proofs, the 40 days. The number 40. Answer the mystery, brothers and sisters. That the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary, answer the number 40. 18 plus 22. The last and the final Day of Atonement, in the cleansing of the sanctuary, in the holy place, answer the number 40. 13 plus 27. You see, brothers and sisters? March 27, 2021, if that is not the fulfillment of the prophecy, brothers and sisters, then you will count another 6,000 years to repeat again, to make it 40. And that is why, without any doubts, through that 40 typical days, it can stand without impeachment. This year, brethren, is the last and the final Day of Atonement. And the following year is the Day of Vengeance. We will continue this subject and hoping that the good Lord would bless us and would help us. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful, wonderful evening.